To the post-match Twitter Spaces. Yeah, that was a really difficult watch, to be quite frank. First of all, let's just say it: the referee was astonishingly bad. I mean, I don't. I say I don't object. Of course, I object when the opposition get every single 50-50, but there were some decisions in there that were frankly appalling. For me, one of the worst referees I've seen this season. That being said, what did we think about today? Well, we all know that the playoffs was up a little while ago, but it felt today like I don't know, there was no spark. There was no get up and go. There was no kind of continuation of the attitude and the effervescence against that we saw against Wrexham in midweek, with the exceptions of, I thought Egil Selvik did well. Obviously, the penalty is going to be the highlight when we come back to that. Um, uh, for me, love to get your opinions on exactly what you think of Pierre Ekwa. I think he was outstanding. Really thought he was good, and I thought Iran Kunda was the place, the only place most likely for me where things were maybe going to come alive for people. I don't know. Maybe see what you say, see what you think, and let's go with the normal. This may be, and it's down to you. This can be as long and as short as you like, and you may turn around and go, you know what, 90 minutes I've wasted on that game of my life. I'm never getting it back again. That would be a perfectly understandable situation, and one of which I would have more than a little sympathy for. But should you wish to have your say on it, do let us know. And as I say, as long or as short as we like, but we're going to start in that tried and tested way with Rich WFC2. Everybody, Rich, difficult one. We've won and we've drawn and we've slagged the referees. We've lost and we've slagged the referees. But this one, he was on a different planet, wasn't he? Or am I just being unreasonable?
Evening, Pete.
Evening, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed with your summing up in just about everything there. I suppose the only thing that I would challenge you on is cool. If you've seen a worse referee, I'd like to know which one it was, because my goodness me. I mean, wow. I mean, of referees being bad, and we need referees, obviously, to referee football games, but my goodness me, I have not seen anything that bad since, and this will go straight over the heads of your younger listeners, and it was Roger Milford.
Yes. Well done.
I mean, wow, what a disgraceful performance. And if people at Watford Football Club aren't questioning what went on this afternoon, then more fool them, and they're as soft as shit, because that was a disgraceful, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And I think most people were the same. And, as you say, every 50-50, he even twice, got involved and got a touch on the ball to stop us scoring. Oh. I mean, what's having a chance? I won't say we look like scoring, but anyway.
Genuinely, I was writing down, right, or putting in my little phone, going, the first 20 minutes, this referee has been appalling. And then I just went, I'll give up on that, because he had a full 90 minutes worth, plus 120 almost. Go on.
Yeah, it was bordering on almost, I just can't think of the right word. It was just bordering on cheating. It felt like every single decision was against us. But that's done. We talk about the game, and we were powder puff, and Ed Steele comes out and says he's going to play a high press attacking football. I didn't see any of that today.
No,
I saw huff and puff. Egil Selvik, I agree with you, had a super game. Obviously, nice penalty save. Iran Kunda, head and shoulders the best player for Watford. The only one that had a shot on target, and gave us any out ball. I didn't understand substituting Chakfadadze and Loser when he did. I didn't think it was. Bove comes on, he does nothing. I'm sorry. All these fantasies and people going about get Bove on. He's done nothing when he's been on the pitch. I'm sorry. I'm not having a go at I don't want to have a go at the lad. He's coming back from a horrendous time, but he's not good enough at the moment. He doesn't affect the game. But I will 100% agree with you, as I said it the other night. Ekwa is a player, and I don't know. I know he's got a bit of a suspect temperament off the field and has had his issues at other clubs. But if there is any opportunity where they can nail down him for whatever's left of the squad next season, then it's a no-brainer. He looks and controls the midfield, and I thought he was absolutely excellent. Matty Pollock, a shout out for him heading every ball away, but that's all they really was, heading the ball away. And Mendy had one of the worst home debuts you could ever wish for. He's got such big feet. He's got square feet. He can't pass. Kevin come on and made it look a bit more steady at the back, but yep. And he's not had a great season, bless him. I've got a bit more time for Kevin, but foremost, unfortunately, he had his opportunity today and blew it. But you got to look at the manager, and this manager's not a winner. He's not. He huffs and puffs, and he throws his arms around on the touchline, blowing his dog whistle every now and again. But there was no spark. There was nothing happening. They put a lot of energy in. Yeah, we got a lot of injuries, but so have everybody else. A lot of other teams, and no, that isn't a football team that looked like they wanted to win and really go for the win. Having said that, Leicester City, who are, I think, second bottom, or I assume they still are, if that's a team trying to get out of the stay in the division, let alone get out of it, I thought they were pretty average as well. And they've got a lot of Premiership players in their team, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
If they kept number 7 on, whatever his name is, he was sensational. But other than that,
Fatawu.
Wow,
Fatawu.
Yeah, he was something special, and there's no doubt about it. All right, very left-footed, but he was something special. And fair play to Bowler, he kept up with him. But no, it was a nothing game, a nothing performance. And at the end of the day, what Football Club are where they probably deserve to be, and all the nonsense from Gino Pozzo and Scott Duxbury at the beginning of the season has once again failed right down the middle. They are, they're conning us. They're taking the fan base for fools. There was, January told you everything you need to know about a management team, a directorship that was going to kick on and go forward. We brought in 2 players that weren't fit till March, and that is not good enough. And they've got themselves another season in the Championship where the club's going to be losing money hand over fist. We haven't got a pot to piss in, so we'll have to sell anything that's decent. So I don't know what people are buying their season tickets to see next year, but it can get a lot worse, that's for sure. I don't see any spark at the Football Club, and if Pozzo and Duxbury are still in the helm next season, God help us, that's all I can say. Please, somebody out there come in and buy us and rid us of this, 7 years now of absolute stagnation, and let's get our Football Club back. But very, very disappointing afternoon.
Well, it was said that the king said of Thomas à Becket, "Who will rid me of this troublesome priest?" Well, in terms of who will rid us of this troublesome owner, who and when will that ever happen? We don't know. Just taking a quick look at the table there, Rich. They actually climbed with that point to 22nd, and they're above Oxford United, who had a 3-game spectacular winning run, then got a draw, so they were doing well, and lost today at Southampton, which pretty much, we all know that the playoffs has been out of contention, and we were debating about luck and is it a light at the end of the tunnel, or is it just somebody coming with a stick to beat us from the club whilst carrying a torch, most probably. So Oxford United are down. Leicester City are on 39 points. They're still in the relegation zone. Portsmouth, who got a shoeing at QPR today, are in 21st, and 3 points above them are West Brom and Blackburn, who both got decent results today. A win for the Baggies and a draw for Blackburn against Middlesbrough, who are still in second place up the top. Now we are going to be in the we could almost have got into the playoffs if it had been next year, but it's not, and we haven't. So never mind. It's the hope that kills, as we've said a number of times. But at this moment in time, it feels like it's all done, and that feels like the kind of the season the way it's been, to be honest with you. So it's not exactly a surprise.
I think that
Go on, mate.
no, I mean the season ended at Sheffield Wednesday. You know, we all knew that with that limp performance there, and Ed, what do you do with Ed Still now? Is it do you just let this? Is the last few games death by 1,000 blades, and what is he going to be in charge next season? What are they going to do? You have a right to ask us before you buy your season ticket, what are you actually buying to see? You buy a ticket in the West End, you've got a rough idea what you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're buying a season ticket now. What are you going to see? Are you going to see Gino Pozzo and Scott Duxbury come out with all this bullshit again and yet another season of just plodding along? And who is our manager this time? How many is it going to be next season? What was it, 3 this year? Or 4 if you perhaps include the caretakers? How many more nonsense are we having next season? Watford fans, honestly, guys, just wake up and smell the coffee, for goodness sake, because it's another season of just absolute garbage, quite honestly, sadly.
Yeah,
anyway, let someone else have a go.
Yep.
Lovely to speak to you. Have a great evening.
And you, as always, there's Rich getting us started off nicely. Let's get across to Florida and Uncle Ron. The other thing that I thought was interesting with regards to Ed Still today was the fact that it took the and I'm sure that my conversation probably replicated many all over the ground and many at homes watching, which was Kieran Gard was having he was working hard. He wasn't awful, but it was like, right, if we're going to need to change this, change the personnel, give us something else, give us Dumbia. And it took the rookery end, the 1881 in the corner, to start singing for Dumbia before the change finally came. And then it was a kind of and then finally we went 2 up front with 4 minutes to go. Now today was realistically, okay, it's a tough one, but if you're going to be in the Ed Still hot seat with any pretense, and I do mean the word pretense, because I don't believe it was going to happen, and I think mainly most of you guys won't have done either. You'd hoped, but you certainly wouldn't have thought about it. But if you're going for that, maybe we need 2 strikers on a little earlier than with 4 minutes to go. Uncle Sir, how are you? You're somebody who's always called for 2 up front on many occasions. Well, we didn't really create enough, and there wasn't enough attacking outlet apart from Iran Kunda for me. What were your thoughts on it all?
Incredibly disappointing, Peter. Incredibly disappointing. I thought the Wrexham game, Watford played very well.
Yeah.
And I suspected, and it's ridiculous. I find it ridiculous that I have to say this, and you and I have a certain vintage to say that Watford, got themselves up to play Wrexham.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that seemed to be the case. It seemed to be, the glamour boys are in town. Let's raise our game, and then Leicester come, and it wasn't there. I feel that there's like a natural lack of desire to win at all costs in this squad and at the club, and it's been the case for several years. That there are talented players, but this desperate desire to achieve isn't naturally there.
A lack of ambition.
Yes.
Yeah.
But an inherent lack of ambition, not just from the owner, which we all know, but from the players, that they don't mind that certain games they'll turn up and certain games they won't, and it doesn't really matter. And I've mentioned the long contracts before that make sense for the likes of Mama, Iran Kunda, but everyone has a long contract. I think only Kayembe's is expiring, and I'm sure they've already extended it, or it's definitely going to be extended.
Oh, this is Watford. They probably did that 4 months ago. We'll find out sometime in July. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that personally.
Yes, but very disappointing. And I'm with Rich on Bove. It was a very nice story for him on Tuesday night, but he played today, and he was very lightweight. It was a bit of a now then. I've had a letter from an Italian lad who's he's had a bit of a hard time. He's had a bit of a heart problem. He said, "Dear Jim, can you fix it for me to come back and score a goal?" And I did that for him, and it's a bit like that, Peter.
Now then, rattle, jewellery.
Yeah. Okay. He's had his Jim will fix it moment, but apart from that, very lightweight, and I wish him well. I don't mean that nastily in any way against the player. He comes across a very nice person, but ineffectual.
I think that's the way.
Today.
I think
Ineffectual today.
it was interesting on, obviously, as you say, Tuesday, a wonderful moment. Everybody can get involved in that and enjoy that for the guy. He's come across, he's handled himself very, very well.
Yes,
but we have to find a way of using him, and he needs to get to that point where he can play. And if that's next season, that's next season. I think I do think we've got a player there, but he needs to get to find out what he is and how he plays at this time. But also, of course, Italian football is famously played at a lower tempo with burst and kind of acceleration of or rather kind of changes of speed and tempo, and it's far more tactical than, well, most certainly more tactical than the championship, which is sort of do or die and get in, and it's in and around the muck and bullets. And today, and I'm not a great one. And not a great one for stats, but I heard on the way back that it was they had over 2.5 goals expected. Obviously, the penalty is going to make a big difference on that, but I think it was like 2.5, and we had 0.2, which really speaks to the level of things. Without prior to Beauvais' involvement, in terms of the creativity, the only thing that felt likely today that was going to in the goal scoring end of the pitch was Iran Kunda with one of his moments. He's come back into the team after being, I thought, sort of, it was an interesting one, after even the Stoke game, where he lit the place up with a great moment, even though it was a rather depressing result overall. And Ed still came out and basically said, well, he's not been in because he hasn't been producing. I think he's stepped in and stepped up during the time when we've had the injury to Vata and to Marma and to Kwadwo Bar. How are you seeing him? Because you've always loved his effervescence and the joy that he brings on the team play. How have you felt he's produced as the breadwinner, if you will, in the team in the last 3 or 4 games?
I think he's been excellent. He's the only one today who looks capable of scoring. And people forget how many fouls he draws. He gets some terrible fouls inflicted on him, and he brushes them down and gets up. I think he's a great hope, and I love Iran Kunda. It's just a shame that the rest of them sort of don't match his natural desire that he has. It's a great shame. But Peter, we're light years away from the playoffs. Light years from the playoffs, let alone automatic promotion. And there doesn't appear to be any sort of soul-searching or humility from the top. I mean, do you think it's going to change between now and next season? I mean, I just don't see what's going to happen to change it. We can't lose any players. So if they sell Marma, it's a great loss. We need to bring in someone who can score 20 goals to have any hope of getting promotion, any hope. So I just wonder, and I've always wondered about the owner, and the Duxbury's gone very quiet, hasn't he, since the 4 wins in a row? Completely silent. And I know that the supporters board had a meeting this week, and he was conspicuously absent, wasn't he, Scott Duxbury, from proceedings?
Basically, there was a photograph put out, and there's a lot of good people in there who can come along to those. But I would hope that within, if he wasn't there, which I have no reason to believe that he was, on the evidence of it,
he wasn't.
Then I think he should be there at the second. I really do, because otherwise, when you come on, I always end up using the words parlaci. If we go back to this, that was in June of 2023, right? It was a long time ago now. And one of the things that, because I was hosting it for want of somebody who wasn't an idiot, and I said, what about this shadow board or fans parliament? There's been a lot of words for it now. It's supporters board, fine. What about that? And he said, oh well, lots of clubs are paying it lip service. And I said at the time, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you have to. It's really important that he is seen to be there and be involved in it and front and center, because it's not just the fact that he's going to be there necessarily and hearing what people are saying and going and acting on it, but he should be there as to hear what the supporters' representation is. These are your customers, and if you fail to be there to hear what their representatives say, shame on you. Shame on you, Scott. You should be better than that. You're the CEO and the chairman. You have an obligation to go and support it and to make it as successful as it can be. And it won't be the elixir of life. It's not going to solve everything. It's not going to change necessarily, what's going to happen with the football. Paul actually didn't. He turned around and told us, no, we're carrying on the same. And we all came away and went, nope, he's going to carry on as he has. And surprise, surprise, here we are nearly 3 years later, and he's done just that. But get involved with it. Find out and hear what things are being said, rather than literally, as we've mentioned it before, living in your ivory tower and coming out when, surprise, surprise, a few results have gone well. I agree. He needs to make that a success. We haven't yet heard the minutes from it, so we'll be able to get to hear that and see what's said. But those people at the top of the club have to absolutely be the ones who are making a success of it by engaging. And as you say, from the pictures that came out, and as you've said there, doesn't sound like he was there. So it would be good for him to do it. Absolutely. That notwithstanding, we have, we were talking about, well, what happens with Ed Still now? Do we just keep him there? Because I don't see any point in changing runners and riders now, and seeing whether there is anything to start next season. Have you seen enough from him? You were quite enthused because you said, at the start, well, maybe there's an element of A.D. Boothroyd about somebody who's not been tarnished by previous failure, as a first team coach in England. What are your thoughts? Keep him in and see if there is something, or would you jettison?
I would only jettison if they would bring in someone. I've said this before about other coaches, someone who's never been sacked before and is currently in employment with a record of success. But if it's some failure from Spain or Italy, then I would keep him for now and see what happens.
We'll see. Well, both you and I have mentioned a certain Michael Scubala, who's doing fantastic work at Lincoln City, a club that we have a great deal of success when we've pulled somebody in, but they're going to be in the championship come what may. I think that boat has most certainly sailed, but we will see what happens. Ron, we will catch you very much a little bit later. Have a great day for the rest of it. There goes Ron. You see, it doesn't always just turn up when we didn't lose today. It was 0-0, and it was like, what can you do? But we've got Woody on again, everybody. We've got Woody. Woody, where are you? Are you travelling Risborough way? Have you been to the game, or have Risborough had a game today?
Evening, Pete. No, Risborough away. So we're back at the ground. We're stuck at the top of the bloody gate car park. So apologies for my language. And it's crawling slow. We were obviously quite surprised to see how many extra fans were turning up today, given the result on Tuesday. And we thought, right, they're here for a treat. They want to see a fantastic performance. And I'm not here to put the team down, but I would like to bring it back to today's match, because I think there was some highlights and points we want to pull on.
Lovely stuff.
I did first just want to I was ready to apologise to the callers after Tuesday night, because there was a few sound issues that you had, and I didn't hear your preamble as we all first came on. I think I was your first caller.
Woody.
And I was very quick to put on Kiram guard, but then Noah saved me at the end.
No. Woody and I have known each other for well, it's probably approaching decades now. I can't remember. I'm so old. It's all more. So no. Woody knows that the less he gets to hear of me, the better. It's a much better thing. So there we go. So anyway, what did you think today? What positives and what negatives do you want to call out?
Well, I think we do just have to look at, where the team had their high spots. And obviously, we've only had a couple of callers, but I think Georgie Chakravarti was trying really hard today. Normally, he would sit in the middle of the park. He would wait for the ball to get past to him, and then he would try and take on half the team and end up hitting a cul-de-sac and coming back.
Yeah.
But how many times was he pushing himself out? He's obviously given himself an extra 10, 15 yards out on the wing, and Loser and other people were picking him up, and we were getting balls out to him.
Yeah.
We still want to see that final, sort of delivery or having a shot or something, but he's clearly trying to find a little bit more space, and we must have hit him out there about 4 or 5 times where the crowd starts to get up and you can see the enthusiasm. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out. Iwan Kunda again on the other side. I mean, that boy is 5'6", and he jumps 6'4" every single time, and you think he's never going to make it, and he just seems to spring into action. And we just need more players to have that determination to think they're going to get the ball.
I love it. I mean, I call it effervescence from him, because there's a joy and a joie de vivre with the whole thing. And he's, as you say, there's also that determination. You can see how much it hurts when he tries something and it doesn't pay off. But he goes again, after a sort of recovery. Lovely one, like that. What were your other thoughts, sir? Woody, you there? No, Justin can't hear. Woody, we seem to have lost Woody momentarily, which, let's be honest, shouldn't lose your Woody. That's not a good thing, is it? No, Woody, you may have. I'll take you out from there. Let's bring in Caden, see what Caden says, and we'll see if we can get back to Andy Woodward in a little while. Caden, sir, frustrating afternoon. What were your thoughts? Caden, are you there? It's all gone crashing around our ears. No, Caden's not there. Let's take him out. No, we tried to add him in. Let's try and get Woody in again. It's all fun and games, people. It's all fun and games. Elon put 50p in the meter. Andy, are you there now, sir? Hit your mic button.
I am back.
We're back.
Hello, mate. I don't know what happened there. We were stood in the same place. We didn't move. Right, I'll talk a bit faster.
It happens. No. You're fine.
The only other thing to mention was that Selvik is not punching the ball, so we are making small increments.
He caught it
how many times?
Including the pen.
I don't think he punched it at all, did he?
No. I thought I was impressed with him taking a few of them. Did look a little bit like he looked a little awkward catching it, but to be honest with you, that's very small beer in comparison to what I normally am feeling about him when he's kind of punching it and not necessarily always getting it. And of course, the important thing, we didn't quite have the do not scratch your eyes moment, which is what we're all used to after penalty saves in that goal against Leicester. Why aren't we scoring within 20 seconds of that with iconic goals? But the penalty save was a fine thing, wasn't it?
Well, exactly, and it's typical of Leicester to cheat their way to a penalty and then obviously have it saved. So these things come round. But no, I thought he had a solid performance, and actually he caught a few really close shots there from them. So I think we've got to give him credit for that. The only other thing I'd say is, as a whole performance, it wasn't as good as it was on Tuesday. We all saw that. I feel like we were doing quite well, but the momentum kept getting stunted with, cheating fouls, headbutts, and the referee getting in the way, the referee stopping the ball. There was one where Iran Kunda was tripped. He ran on, he had the ball, and the ref pulled it back. And yet earlier on, he was letting the ball play. So there's no consistency from the referee, and I've lost count of the number of, ridiculous fouls he was giving, especially 2 fouls on Selvik, which should be a booking, and then he gets booked for arguing about it.
No, I agree. I think the debate about how good or bad the Championship has been this season in terms of quality is there to be had. The debate about how bad the referees are, holy hell! But today's, crikey, if there was anybody teetering on the brink of going, I think the referees might be shit, I'm not sure, I'll give it today a chance. Christ almighty, he was atrocious. And as you say, most people, and again, most coaches, and I know you're coach as well, will have done some kind of refereeing qualification. I've done one. I'm sure you've done one. You run what's called an S, where you try to sandwich the play between you and the linesman on the opposite side. So if he's running right wings, it'll be one way, and if he's running left wings, it'll be the other. And he didn't do that. He just got in the middle of everything all the time. Okay, it can happen occasionally, but he did it in a ridiculous manner. He booked Mendy for a challenge and the free kick that came in, and then after that he was kind of like not going quite in on people where he should have done. However, before he'd given Mendy that free kick, there'd been an absolute trouncing on Loser that he didn't even give as a free kick, let alone a booking. And it was like he was awful. And then he started deciding, I'm gonna get involved in this. I'm gonna get involved in the play somehow. God, he was awful. Yeah, he was awful.
No, I mean, I do have to defend the first tackle on Loser. It wasn't really a tackle. He was running away from the ball. The ball was coming over his shoulder. You can only look in one direction at a time. The defender, clearly, as a centre half, as I would just stand there and be a brick wall. And Loser ran into him. I don't believe we were on the Graham Taylor side, and I don't believe it was a determined foul. I just think he blocked him, and Loser wasn't looking where he's going because, of course, he's waiting for the ball to come over his shoulder. So that made him the first, sort of like the culprit of doing that, although that was unfair. But I mean, it was a very hard head injury, and it took the ref a hell of a long time to stop the ball and get him over, which was not fair on him.
I don't think for a moment that there was any deliberate element from the Leicester player, and I'll say something about Leicester in a minute. But within the laws of the game, the last time I looked, it was, if you're kicking or attempting to kick an opponent with a careless, reckless, or disproportional force, it was reckless and it was disproportional force. You don't. It doesn't even matter whether or not you take the ball first. If you go in and you're reckless, careless, but it's something that you can go in and do from that particular wording. However, I've when you turn around and said, well, Leicester were doing this, Leicester are down amongst the dead men at the moment, and when you're there, you go and do everything you can to get those marginal gains, and nobody does that like Gary Rowett, or very few do. Gary Rowett, in terms of going, no, we're going to make us horrible to play, horrible to try and attack and defend against them. If I was a Leicester supporter, and I'm not, I'd look at that and go, we deserved the win because of the stats and the chances and the penalty. We didn't get it, but we didn't give them much. They didn't, and they've got those dark arts in the middle, that kind of horrible shithousery bit. They've got that, and they might just grind out enough to get above the points deadline with the points deduction that they've been given. I think of both teams' supporters, I think Leicester will look at that and go, I think we've got the more accomplished coach for what each one has been brought in to do. I don't think Ed Steele probably had a chance in hell of getting personally to the playoffs, but he'd have had to do a lot more than I think he's either equipped or indeed with the squad armed to do. But I think I get the feeling that Gary Rowett might just get their head above the waterline.
Yeah, no, I think we've all faced reality that even though the playoffs is a nice thing to have, we don't really want to go up this season, and we just haven't got the energy. We've run out of puff. But consistency is the key in this league, and we know this, and we see some of the teams that are being consistent, and we seem to be so up and down. We were really hoping for back-to-back wins again today, and it didn't come. And I heard your predictions when you were speaking to the Leicester fan on the pre-match chat. We were getting 4-2 results. We were getting all these predictions, thinking we're going to run riot on them, and they just totally frustrated us, which is classic Watford, isn't it? That is Watford all over.
In fairness, the 4-2 prediction did come from Brett, who was throwing dice from a high window, ledge. And of course,
very true.
It was awful, but he's in the lead, everybody. That's how rubbish we are. Oh, I don't know. Never mind.
Thanks, Pete.
We
Good to talk to you, mate.
And you, mate. Lovely to chat to you. Have a good weekend. Right, well, there we go. Well, look, if you want to say anything, do. If you don't, we're perfectly fine to kind of finish it now. We're going to get through the 5 words. Caden, you did request, but you've disappeared again. So funny things happening tonight. I'm all in favour of a short one, if you'll excuse the ooh-ah nature of that particular statement. Let's have a look and see what people are saying. Dave Lavender said, certainly a game to forget, he says, straight away. I don't disagree. I thought it was, not good. John Parslow said, let's still finish above Norwich at the moment. If anybody hasn't seen it, Norwich are currently 1 place below us. Let's go to the transfer, to the table. Yep, they're on 54 points. We are on 56. We're in 9th, they're in 10th. So, the universe has righted itself. We are one place away from Norwich. That's surely got to be something reassuring, if nothing else is tonight. Never mind. Let's see what everybody else says. Malk says a point closer to mid-table obscurity. Absolutely. Willie Eckers said 90 minutes I'll not get back. And I think Justin reacted and said more like 120 minutes. Yeah, what with 8 minutes at the end of the first half, 6 minutes at the end of the second, it was quite a lot. Ref stole the show, says Gareth Kingswood Hornet. No, I agree. I just thought he was awful. Daryl Yammat more depressed now. Yeah, this is true. Daryl Yammat, if you hadn't read about it, he's had troubles, shall we say, which has basically resulted in the separation with him and his wife, as well as some habits that probably you wouldn't have wanted to go to. He struggled post career, but he was back and got a good reception. I hope he enjoyed that. I hope that helps a little bit. Mike R said he's not fit to referee. He was appalling. Of all the things that come out today, I think that was it. Watford, according to Pete Ryan, should practice the Heimlich maneuver. They choke so often. I don't disagree. I think this was a game where again, we've we've not had enough to turn up. I thought we looked tired. I thought we could have done with the substitutions a lot earlier than they came on personally. However, when you're saying it from the stands, you never put a foot wrong because you're not managing the game. On the beach, asks Cobbers, which one? What, which player or which beach? I have no idea. The data suggests we're shite, says Paul Fiander Turner. Yeah, it was, as I say, the expected goals, but that would obviously have been impacted by the penalty. Of course it would do, because it's a plain opportunity. So in some ways we should be looking at it and going, okay, 0-0, we've got away, with a point there. Would we have got that in previous years? No. I was saying from about 55 minutes onwards, this feels like one where it's going to go late and then we'll lose it 1-0. We've all known those before. Harry says 2 results which summarise season. Yeah, the inconsistency of Watford is a massive thing. Frank says Oxford away, then I'm done. Well, yeah, but don't forget pot noodle, and whatever else is to hand. He'll get that. He'll know that. Gaz, Northwest Horn, says season officially over, thank God. Yeah, maybe. Simon Parkin says 1, Pollock's attempted tackle with head. 2, that's why we're staying down. Yeah, inconsistency, not getting the results when you think you should be able to turn up. And we turned up. There were definitely some positives. I think Pollock's last 2 games has shown us, kind of elements that we haven't, that we've missed. I thought Kevin came on and looked like a competition winner, frankly. He's been lauded in the past previously, but he has seemingly fallen off a cliff somewhere. And I can understand why. I thought that actually, if you take away that moment where Mendy is booked, and suddenly it's like, oh crikey, he could go, and he doesn't make the challenge. As the ball was being played in the run up to their penalty, the ball got played to the right hand side, and I was sitting there going slide, and somebody said he can't. He's on a yellow, which is absolutely right. But I would have still slid at that point because I thought he could take it cleanly. He didn't. He stood up, and then he kind of gave the penalty away because he hadn't made the challenge in the first place. So it was, you can look at it and go, well, we should be probably content to get a 0-0 from that, because I think we were sort of lucky to do so, really, in some ways. Season over, says Guy Wellborn. Yeah, absolutely. Common consensus. Vasher, everybody, who came on, he said, Ed's still not a coach. Ed's still not a coach. This is true. I like that. There's greetings there from Tbilisi. I like that. Vince Smith, fair result against a good team. I agree with you, Vince. I think if you look at it, Fatawu on their right, our left-hand side, gave Mark Boller, I think, as tough a game as we've seen. The key with him is he always wants to cut in. He always wants to go for the top-hand corner. If you speak to any of Leicester players or Leicester supporters, they all say that. I think he's a lot of fun, really good player. But too often we put him onto his left, and when he came in, there was that scary few moments in the first half, before the penalty and after the penalty, where you think they're going to give something up. And that was because we didn't do that, which was a shame. Big Galoot says, loser, reducer, hoofing, strolling, and grifting. It was a very much a reducing challenge on him, and he didn't, I don't think he really sort of picked back out. Yellow Army, says Chris Brearley, pretty fucking turgid stuff. It wasn't a great game. We're going to keep this short, I imagine, unless, oh no, Caden's there. We'll go to Caden after this before we go to the YouTube questions. Big Galoot says, schooled by Leicester, passionless mercenaries. Derek Armson, thank God I stayed home. He said, Derek, I can honestly say, thankfully, you're not wrong. Cyprus, there we go. Didn't see first half, thankfully. Yeah, it thankfully would be the way. Michael Sills says, from Tuesday to that, how? Well, I think there was a reliance on a lot of the same players. Maybe some could have been refreshed a little bit earlier, but we all know that because of injuries, our choices are reduced. But as they are for every team at this moment in time, Daniel Ellis says the refs are total cunts. There we go. Daniel not holding back on that, and I'm all for it. Sean F just says dull. Norway Hornet says shit. Well done, Norway Hornet. You have 5 words to use, and he's just gone, sod that. One will do. Ben says F Mendy and Kevin had to bet to see who could be more shit. Yeah, I'm going to say personally, I'm going to say Kevin, because for me personally, Mendy got done with that yellow card, and I could see why he suddenly went wobbly. And then he had another one where it was, they were all coming up and asking the ref to give him another booking for the penalty, which really would have been kind of game, set, and soldiers. But there we go. Let's see if we can get Caden on and then we will draw things to an early close. It's still light outside, everybody, and Spaces could be finishing. Come on, you can all have a bit of a weekend. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Caden, you there?
Evening, Peter.
Evening.
Can you hear me?
I've got you loud and clear.
Well, that was
Shite is the word you're looking for.
that was boring.
He's so much more polite than me. Go on, boring. Carry on. Tell us how you saw things. And I haven't asked anybody for the player of the match, so I would like you to tell me who you are selecting as the man of the match. But I'm going to restrict you.
Okay.
To Egil Selvik. Okay. I'm going to restrict you to Iran Kunda, and I'm going to restrict you to Pierre Equa. I'm going to restrict it to those three players. You start off with who of the three is taking the man of the match, and then tell us everything that you thought of the game.
Selvik. Selvik is my man of the match.
There you go, everybody. There you go. Egil Selvik. He's had a few brickbats thrown at us or thrown at him from this side. But in fairness, when the brickbats were thrown at him, he simply punched them away. Sometimes one-handed, sometimes two. Today, he caught some and he saved a penalty. So well done, Egil. Go on then, mate. What are your thoughts?
Well, Foremost Mendy's a very lucky boy, isn't he? I thought the referee could have very easily sent him off. Gets the stupid yellow card, then he gives away a penalty. You think, yeah, he's going to go here. The ref is very much in their favour, and he got away with it, which is delightful that he got away with it. But yeah, his starting 11 chances, I think, are now gone. I didn't think he was particularly of any quality. I mean, he did one or two okay-ish things, but apart from that, really, really disappointing from him, because I thought he's been out of the team for so long. He's coming into a side. He's going to play really well. And then he was just shite. It was poor from him. He was just shite.
I knew we'd get shite in there somewhere, and I'm pleased that we finally arrived at that. Before you go on to chat, so if you're in charge, right? And often we put Caden in charge, and everybody has an intake of breath, but we're doing it nonetheless. So who's your preferred from the centre backs that we've now got partnership? Is it Goliachidze and Pollock? Is that your preferred partnership? Or would a Banquer get it if he wasn't being pushed to right back?
If he wasn't being pushed to right back, it'd be a Banquer and Pollock.
Okay.
But with a Banquer right back, I would go with Goliachidze and Pollock. I thought Goliachidze was absolutely fantastic against Wrexham.
Okay.
His movement was brilliant. Same with Pollock. Pollock was good again today. So yeah, if both of them are fit, and a Banquer has to play it right back, those two are the pairing.
Okay. So let's say it now that, like today, without obviously, so you've got a Banquer already going right back, because we haven't got another right back because both Jeremys are injured. Don't forget, everybody, there is a new rule that only Jeremys can now play right back from next season. That may not be accurate. Having seen what you've seen, would you go with Pollock and Kebban? Because I thought Kebban was as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, as they say. Or would you go with Mendy?
I would go with Kebban. I thought I'm slightly different of opinion to you, Peter.
Brilliant.
On Kebban today.
Okay, far away. Let's get to that. I like this a lot.
I actually thought he was pretty good. Used his strength really, really well. Looked more composed on the ball than what Foremost did. Okay. And I like Kebban. Obviously, he's had a massive stint out of the team, but when he does play, he's not that bad. He's all right.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought Kebban played well today and better than Foremost Mendy. If we don't have Goliachidze for QPR, then please start Caben, because especially with what QPR did today to Portsmouth, I know they're Portsmouth, but come on.
Good stuff.
Come
Good
on,
stuff.
don't let it happen to us.
Okay, I like this. I like this centre half and this centre half chat, and I like the fact you turn around and go, no, I think differently. I like that very much indeed. Go on then. So I think you were going to mention Chak Fatadza and what you thought of him today.
Yeah, so I was quite disappointed. I thought on Tuesday he was electric, especially in the first half. He was everywhere. He was, pinging the ball left, right, and centre. Really, really impressive. Today, he just seemed very isolated, and when he got the ball, he lost it. On the other hand, Iran Kunda was fantastic today. Absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
All plaudits to him. He was one of the only players today, and I'll mention the other player that I thought was very, very good in a second.
Ooh, okay.
But he was one of the only players today, you look at them and you go, yeah, they're not arrogant. They just want this team to do well. They want 3 points. They want to still think that they're in the playoff shouts.
Nice.
The other man today,
yep,
Imran Loser.
Ooh, okay.
I thought he was really, really good today. Unlike one of his midfield partners, he was very, very good. The midfield partner in question, Edo Kayembe. He was absolutely dreadful today. I am fuming that Ed gave him 90 minutes when you have got Bove sat on the bench, and it's so frustrating because you could have made 2 easy subs at halftime. Caben for foremost, which he did, Kayembe off, Bove on. And no, he didn't. Instead, he wanted to wait to see if Loser was okay. Loser was fine. He looked fine. He might have had some strains in his neck, but he was pinging the ball around lovely. And then you've got 10-touch Kayembe who does jack shit with the ball. Oh, what? I want to hear the justification. And
it's interesting. I love this. I genuinely love this, and I think. And sorry, I mean, I always say about Caden, sir. Yeah, you punch above your age, and I'm very proud of you. Well said, because I completely disagree. I thought that Kayembe had a decent game today. For me, I thought he was actually one of the midfield workers who was working more. However, I love the fact that you come on and go, no, I disagree, and I think this, and this is what I think, and you don't get look, love it. I love the fact that you come on and have a different way of looking at it. And hey, I'm not right, you're not right. These are opinions, and we debate them. And well played. Excellent stuff. No, I thought he did okay. I could understand why he was kept on, because there were times when he would get the ball and he would turn around and he would actually kind of use the ball reasonably. Did he do everything right? No, it is Kayembe after all. But I didn't think he was having the most Kayembe of all games. But I love the fact that we see it differently and can talk about it. I think that's superb. Okay, all right, no, that's fair enough. What in terms of rank me then, because obviously I know that Kayembe, I'm presuming that you're thinking that if you were looking at the 3 midfielders and if you were going to rank them from the midfield today, if you're looking at Loser and then Ekwa and then Kayembe, what order are you ranking their performance in?
Well, Kayembe can be at the bottom of the barrel.
I did suspect you would place him there, and that's very reassuring. There's consistency there.
I would probably go with Loser in second and Ekwa in first. Unlike the other dickhead that has had his shirt earlier on this season,
yeah.
I am really impressed with Ekwa. And I don't know what it is, but it looks like there's Loser traits in there. I don't know if anyone else is seeing it, but I see some Loser-esque business with him. And I want him for next season. He can't play 90 minutes yet. I have to say that. But nor can Bove, as far as we're aware. But if we can keep Equa for next season, and we can keep Bove, then and we can keep Loser. This is all, you know, very much hypotheticals here.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
We could have a very sustainable and high quality midfield that is one of the best in the division with Loser, Equa, and Bove. Loser, who, quite frankly, yes, he can go up to the Premier League. Bove, who had Premier League interest, and Equa, who, in the limited game time he has made more impact than some other players have had all season long. His counterpart, to the man who had his number, Sissoko, he's done more in 3 games than Sissoko did, like the whole time he was with us this season. And I see it, and I love it. I love to see Equa playing well, and we could be on for a very, very nice midfield. But today was shocking. 0-0 against, are they 23rd or 22nd?
They are 22nd after that, so they're beating Oxford United, who pulled themselves up to that place. They're now above them on goal difference, but it's all still to play for.
Yeah, so we draw to a team who is 22nd in the league, but on Tuesday we played a high-flying Wrexham team that are probably going to get into the playoffs, and we smack them 3-1. But when we play against 22nd in the league, we fuck it up.
Well,
and that is Watford.
Well, I mean, in fact, yeah. I mean, in terms of performances, I don't think it was any great shakes whatsoever. I agree with you completely. I think personally, we can feel fortunate to take a 0-0 from that. We can obviously also point to Egil Selvik, saving it. So that's fine. But I think it was it was a game whereby a number of people commenting have said, Gary Rowett would be the one who was less happy about coming away with a draw than us. And I think that's reasonable when we look at on the stats and the chances, because we really didn't trouble their goalkeeper at all. Realistically, we just didn't really create anything, which is a shame, but never mind. Well, there we go. Let's let Caden get on with his weekend and preparing for all his other things. Let's quickly go through some of the these 5 words, shall we? Let's get we've done the 5 words. Let's get through some of the YouTube comments, and then we'll do the long forms on the other thing. There we go. OJ, hey, yeah, OJ says, we knew it, didn't we? How this match was going to be. Pretty much, probably. First chance and first shot on goal at 70 minutes, 90 minutes. Oh, my God. I get so frustrated by these talented players making out a talentless team. Yeah, that was the shot from Kierango, which came after people were chanting for Doumbia to come on. And Doumbia came on and worked hard, but, there was nothing created other than that long shot from Kierango that I can think of. He also says, pure awful. No change in tactics when nothing is working and all other teams do their job. Yeah, no, I thought we seemed flat and without a spark. I think we have to, in fairness, look at it and say, look, we're at the back end of that 3-game week, so to speak. Obviously, we had Stoke flat. We had Wrexham, much better response from it. And today, okay. From a performance-wise, it wasn't so great. But Wrexham are the same team who dipped their levels in midweek. So maybe we could look at it and go, nah, what else were we expecting? Probably not an awful lot else, to be honest with you. Scrappy game, says the Irish anime 007, like that. Selvik saved our skin. He did, absolutely. I think that's a very, very fair thing. Sums it up, Selvik, man of the match, says Mal. Hey, Mal. Josh Lewis says, Selvik saved us from an embarrassing loss. Probably the best goalkeeping performance of our season. Equa and Pollock were class. Luca, not so much. He also says the ref has given 4 red cards in his last 5 games before today, by the way. Yeah, I just thought the ref was poor. He said same ref from the dodgy Southampton 3-2 win over under Cleves. Interesting. I'm trying to remember that game. I'll have a look. Worst ref ever, says Chidders. These again. I do like the fact that even when we've won or when we've drawn, or when we've lost. If the ref's been shite, call it out, because I thought he was dreadful. When injuries back, says Matt Morgan. I don't know. There was some suggestion that perhaps after the international break that we might see Quadro Bar. It may be that Marma is needing a little bit longer. That was the suggestion in the pre-match press conference that I saw. They only play against teams they want to buy them. Fucking shite today, says Daniel. He also says Luca is fucking useless. Do. Okay, I see what you did there. Well done, Ron, says Mal. Ron, whatever you said, Mal agreed with it. I think it was about the fact that we were kind of, it was lackluster. Ref was terrible, says Brad. W1181. Daniel Ellis is back. He says, we can't play against cheaters and shit houses. I love this quote. We always fail against dark arts. We do. We get frustrated and annoyed, and it sort of broke out. Eggle got fed up of getting tugged back at the end there, and it wasn't like the referee had. Sometimes the referees can do something that will manage the game and make sure the game flows nicely. I just thought the referee let everything get away from him, as well as getting so many of the major moments in the game and influential moments in the game wrong. Doesn't stop the fact that we didn't perform well. We didn't. Doesn't stop the fact that at Leicester probably were the more, well, they were definitely the more attacking side. Overall, two bald men fighting over a comb. Yes, they had slightly more hair than we did. End of bald jokes, clearly. Evening Pete, says Rich Dixon. Hey, Rich, hope you're well. And he says evening all, which is nice because Rich is a QPR fan. Luca was useless today, says Daniel. He also says Dumbia should start, as he showed when he came on. I think I don't disagree. I think a little bit of a Dumbia time is a call for. He says Georgie is shite. He never runs or takes the defender on. I thought today personally he was more withdrawn, with playing within himself, than he has in the last two games. I think we have to go back to remember, especially what Vasha said about he does take a little while to come back from injuries. He's had, 2 games in a week already, and then he just looked tired. But I just don't think we had necessarily options that Ed still was going to put on. I'd have loved to have seen Nabazada brought on today, because realistically a 0-0 and a defeat 1-0 doesn't change our season. Really a win wouldn't have either, but I hope you don't mind me coming on, Rich. We do not mind you coming on at all. Daniel says Rich is a Watford fan in disguise. He's obviously, this is some kind of exchange program that we're trying to. He says QPR got Watford after the break. We do indeed. We're going to be chatting to a couple of people about that in the opposition view, and hopefully something special to come alongside that as well, not just for us but for QPR fans as well. Daniel Ellis says you're here every week though. This is one of those conversations. I like listening to a good podcast. Well, we're not having that round here, whoever that podcast is. It certainly isn't us. Pompey were poor today, he says. Yeah, well, we unfortunately we've played them twice already, but you absolutely gubbed them. He said I was on GT2. First loser wasn't a foul, he says. There we go. He smashed into a defender trying to head it. Fair play. Thanks, Daniel. Much appreciated. And Woody, sir, you called it earlier on. I looked at it from the far end and thought, oh, that was an odd one. And he let it play when there was clear head knock, so I still can't stand the ref. Mark Schofield says, really? I thought Pompey were good, only conceding 6 to an average QPR team. There we go. Fatawoo from them was a total wank stain, says Daniel, completely disagreeing with my thought. I think he's a heck of a player personally. I just think he needs to be in a he feels to me like a potential sort of Elanga, but maybe a Poundland version. Season over, says Mark Schofield. Unsurprising. Not average today, says Rich. Going on about QBR, not even worth talking about the match. We were playing well until Leicester player went down and didn't go off, and then the comms issue, and it killed our momentum. Yeah, that was odd, wasn't it? It was Jordan James, who's been electric for them. I thought he was fairly anonymous today, which is easy to be in a 0-0 draw, I suppose. He went off for a period, having received treatment, and then I thought we'd stop for a drinks break because it was around 22, 23 minutes. But instead, it was because his comms thing weren't playing up. I just, there's nothing will convince me that ref was anything other than a abhorrent today. Thought Leicester looked okay, says Brad. He says, made more chances than we did. Absolutely true. With the probability the next season will be even worse given we have to sell, says Mark. Yeah, possibly. Inconsistency is QPR's middle name. Well, that's going to be the inconsistency derby. 3D is disappointed, disillusioned and disenchanted, says Mark Schofield. Watford need a break. I think we do need the break. If there's a chance to get people up from 70% fitness back up to 85 to 90%, on a general kind of fitness point. But there's also the fact that we've got those areas which, let's be honest, tactically all season we have been inept. We have not. There has been no identity, because there doesn't seem, despite the plethora of coaches, to be a particular game plan that's been set out when we have possession. So we've come down to trusting individuals. Marma has had a standout opening season, but he's injured. Bar, we all know the capability that he's got. We saw it away at Preston in the second half. He can turn a game. Vata has been very promising on many occasions, but we know he's been out as well. So we are affected by those because we don't really have a pattern of play to build around. It's give it to the good players and see if they can do something. And at the moment, I think that's one of the reasons why Nesty Irankunda feels so vital. He gives us pace, he gives us imagination, he gives us something there. And it's also why Shaq Fatadze is having to play through the end of this injury that he's got, even now play himself into fitness, which he's done. And then hopefully we can get to see a little bit more of the chat from the start of the week rather than the end. Richard's back again. He says, Mark, it's so sad we both couldn't make a fight for the playoffs. No, indeed. Daniel says player of the man of the match was Selvik. Selvik, the only reason we didn't lose. Absolutely. I bet Ed Still is so frustrating as a manager. Plaudits, then shit. The last thing we're going to get is consistency at Watford. Let's face it, it's not exactly like it's not exactly like the whole structure, the whole regime is built to support consistency and slow build. Ironically, and I'm sure somebody will mention it, Plymouth are now one place off of the playoffs, having been bottom of the table from in September, October time. It was really, really going badly, and he's done that. So massive congratulations thus far. But we'll watch it vicariously and hope to Plymouth, to Tom Cleverley, and to the guys who've followed him there from Watford. We all know who they are. Kone was great today. Oh yeah, Richard Kone is a good centre forward. He's got that combination of physicality and creativeness. Clueless Caden again. Kevin is god awful, says Dan Ellis. Well, look, it's a game of opinions. Otherwise, we wouldn't all come on here and talk about it. HJ 2025 says, Caden, week in, week out, they say I disagree with many things he says, but we were all allowed an opinion. Yeah, of course we are. That's the point. That's the whole point. If you want an opinion, you want to say something, say something. Knowing QPR, they will concede 4 against Watford, says Rich. If there's one thing we're doing, everybody, and I think it's very important that we acknowledge this, it's not like we're a charity, but we are spreading the doom of Watford now into northwest London, and Rich is suffering from it. So hey Rich, well done. It's very much like the meningitis of northwest London. We're spreading it, and you've been affected. Hornet Gag says, well, that was a long walk down a windy beach to a cafe that was closed. Oh yes. I like this. We're definitely going to have metaphor of the week when we come back after the international break. Yes, love him. Ecuador. Oh, okay. Not sure. Not everyone can beat Leicester, says oh, okay, Rich. All right, whatever. I remember a lot of people complaining about Equa, says Hornet Gags, when he was signing. Attitude problem, troublemaker. Oh, how the tables have turned. Well, I've got to say, we've got a friend up in the northeast. His name's Ant. Lovely guy, Sunderland supporter, and I rang him and said, leave us a voicemail and about what he's like. And he said, and he started off, and I'll try the accent. It won't work. It'll end up sounding like Neil Kinnock or indeed Jimmy Savile, as was heard earlier. And he went, well, he wasn't shite. And it was like, well, that's a good start. He wasn't shite. He said he wasn't good, and he wasn't bad. He was lazy. And he said, if somebody gives him a big kick up the arse, there's a footballer in there. And you go, well, in fairness to Still and what have you, it's taken a long time to get him in, and to the people who pulled him in, and he feels like, Caden said there's something loser about him, and I think that bit is the fact that he can pick a pass. He's a central defensive midfield player, but he's very, very good with his passing range. One, he can keep it, but secondly, he can get us moving a lot faster. We've all seen central defensive midfielders, I should say, who slowed the game up. Kayembe does slow the game up. He doesn't kind of get us moving quickly. The wonderful thing that we've seen with Ekwa this week, he's been a force to be reckoned with in terms of when we haven't got the ball, and when we've got the ball, and he's been responsible for the turnover. He's won it. He uses the ball early really well. Absolutely, Hornet Gags, you are quite right. Call it out, and I'll say that. I'll stand corrected. It's he's done well. I still question why we bought in players in January when the need was to go and get into the playoffs. One who Javi didn't want, and I appreciate Javi will split the room nowadays. In terms of that, what's the point of when a manager is saying, no, I don't want that player, bringing them in? But also, it's like Caleb Wiley. If you need them and you need them now, don't bring in the players who are going to take 6 to 7 to 8 weeks to be ready and now firing. Here we are. The next game is in April, and we've just had the first 2 decent games off of him. So Ekwa, I really hope, exactly as Caleb said, that we might actually get something in and start building for next season now by maybe securing that. That would be nice. Our shape seems out of sorts today, says Mal, especially after the Wrexham performance. He said, could not get our passing going like on Tuesday. And Rich just says, Pete, how do you feel about Still? I feel exactly as when he first came in. I can't remember when it was last week when my son said, would you like Still for the start of next season? And I said, I don't want Still for the start of next week. And it's nothing. I just don't see that we've particularly done anything. Where are we now? How many games has he had? Is it what, 2 wins or 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats so far? So that was exactly what Petzolano had, but Petzolano had the joy of having a 7-point final week when the decision was already taken. Is it enough? Has he done the job that he needs to do in order to be kept? I think where we are with Still is we've got those games to take a look at him and go, have we got something? Have we got something? Are the players responding? Are we going to see something? At the moment, we're far too up and down. We've been up and down all season. There's been no game plan put in, and there's been little or no, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Intentional gameplay other than getting the ball to those players who can play a bit, basically. We need to see how he worked. We need to see if there is a coach in there to actually improve the players. One of the things that was thrown at Javi was, had he improved the players by the time he came to kind of leave? The answer was no, pretty much no, he hadn't. Are we seeing that from Still? Is there a better option? I go back to what I was talking to Rupert about, which was Parlaci. One of the questions we said was, to lose one manager seems unfortunate. To lose about 23 seems downright careless. Excuse me. And Gino said, in his mind, if he sees that there is something better that he can do for the club, then he feels it's his responsibility to do it. Now, people will loathe, or be indifferent towards Gino Pozzo, but they'll certainly be at one end of that camp normally. I don't see what Ed Still has done thus far to make Gino go, I couldn't do any better than having this guy in at this moment in time. Not from what I've seen, but he's got the more games to go. We're going to be sat ensconced in midfield. Let's have a look at it. Let's let him have an extended interview process, if you will, to try and convince people as to why he should necessarily be kept in and about. I'm not sure he should, but we will see. Let's get to the 5 words. Not the 5 words. I'm having one today. I'm like Watford. Let's get to the long forms. That's what I want. It's a long way down here. Oh, look, there's me. That's not good. Only 5, and then you can all get off and do whatever you like to do. Let's have a look. Harry says Bove has gone from Dybala and El Shaarawy to Kayembe and K9, expecting him to be the difference with Chak and Loser taken off, making something from nothing. It's another poor substitute set by Ed. Stacey Keach says Ekwa is alone with a pre-agreed option. This was announced on deadline day when he signed. This is good. I like that. I think he's, from what we've seen, if you can get him fit and motivated, and it's taken a while to get him fit, it would feel like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. If there's something that we've already agreed that can be done, then I think for me, the players we've got in that position are Little Mendy, we've got Kyprianou, and therefore we've also got we've now got Ekwa. Of the three, I would suggest that one is is problematic size wise, but I've liked Mendy. I think he's done well, but I think he's sort of dipped as we've gone, and he's probably got a ceiling. I think the problem with Kyprianou isn't his positioning or what he does defensively, but it's his passing range. I think it's definitely his Achilles heel. So I think that might be something to take a look at in terms of securing Ekwa, because I think his use of the ball is that much better. Who knows? Who knows? We will see. Let's have a look. What does Vinyl Music say? If Foremost Mendy was our number one target with other cart horses, we're on that fucking list. Okay, fine. Foremost Mendy, very, very lucky boy, says Caden. Okay, well, yeah. It's not been a great game. It's not one to last very long in the annals. This isn't a space that's going to last very long on anybody's listenership, because it's, we're only a little bit over an hour, and often we can go for a lot longer, but you're only going to do that when there's stuff to talk about, realistically. And today, it didn't really feel like that was the case. Leicester looked like they needed it more, because you know why? Leicester needed it more. Watford, as Ron said earlier on, didn't have that ambition, didn't have that feel that, we need to win this. This is a game, and we need to shake every possibility out of it in our favour. It didn't feel like that to me. It felt like there was a lack of spark, there was a lack of desire, and therefore, I think anybody who's heading north to the M1 or up the M1 to Leicester is probably sitting there going, I hope not having those 3 points doesn't hurt us at the end of the season. We'll see if it does or if it won't. Tomorrow, however, I'm taking some of this kit with me, and I'm going over to Averley. Watford women are playing at 3 o'clock at Averley Football Club, which is the home to #United, who are one of these sort of internet-based clubs who sort of sprung up. We are top of the table. We've got 4 games left to play. But I'm going to take this because in the afternoon, I'm going to do a space where I'm going to commentate on the game. We've got another 3 games after. 2 of them are at home. One of them is next weekend. So it's in the middle of the international break. So for you to get your Watford and your footballing fix, there's a great opportunity for you to come along, not tomorrow, but for the following Sunday, to watch Watford take on Exeter City. We are top of the table currently. Leicester, what I'm talking about, Plymouth and Bournemouth are the other team in a bit of a 3-horse race. They play each other tomorrow. So we'll see kind of what comes out of both our result at #United and also them playing each other. It might be an opportunity for promotion and a bit of success, maybe, if we can keep going, if we can keep rolling well in this direction. So if you're about and you hear me, it's only going to be on Twitter Spaces, unfortunately. I can't really tag everything over and get everything set up yet. Perhaps a little bit more of that next season. We'll be able to do some of that, but I'll be commentating from there and seeing how well we get on. Fingers crossed for the girls. If you are anywhere near sort of Dartford area, Averley area, do try and get along and support them, and do try and get along next week. We will see where we go. But look, it's been a difficult one. It's not necessarily been the best, but hey, it's Watford. What were we expecting? You warns.